Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Miss Crochet and Coffee here. And today we're doing something a little bit different. So you guys already know that Miss Coffee had to have surgery. If you didn't, this is what this whole premiere is about. Now, if you've never been in a premiere before, this is a pre-recorded video. So I can't see what you're saying over in chat. But don't worry, I'm over there with you. It's just I recorded this video so that you guys didn't miss a live. I still don't feel up to diamond painting just yet because I can't sit straight up. So I can't sit at my desk. But I'm going to explain to you guys exactly all what happened on that day and where I'm at now. If you hear noises in the background, I apologize. The dogs are playing. The ferrets are out. I will let you guys see the animals as soon as I'm done explaining everything to you. So this is going to take place instead of my live for this evening. So I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful week. I'm sure it was a lot better than mine, because good golly. Daisy and Killian, calm down. Anywho, so let's start from the beginning. So Friday, I went to the, before we start, excuse me. In this premiere, you're going to hear the dogs and the ferrets playing. You're going to see me vaping. No, I don't want your opinion on it. I have my own, but thank you for having an opinion on it anyways. Also, again, if you're fussing at me in chat about recording a video, just know, one, I'm a whole grown-ass woman. And two, I'm 37 years old. I think I know how to take care of myself. I've been doing everything the doctor said. And as you can see, I'm sitting back relaxing. This is my Snuggie. This is my Mandy Manzano Hello Beastie blanket. And then this is my Mandy Manzano Where Fun Never Ends. This is where the canvas ended up. That's where the fun ended, right there. So, yeah. So Friday, I went to the doctor's office because after having COVID earlier this month, September was not my month, okay? Happy October 1st, because September was not my month. So early September, if you didn't know, I caught COVID. I got COVID because my daughter got it from school, and then she brought it home, and I shared a cup of juice with her, and I got it. Mr. Coffee and Orion were fine. They never got COVID. They both tested positive. They're back doing their regular stuff. But me and Maggie had tested positive. Maggie had no symptoms. I, of course, was down for a week, and then I came back. I had been COVID-free for like, a week and a half. And then the doctor was like, well, we want to see you because I expressed some concerns because of my blood pressure spiking up so high, and I'm high risk for another stroke, and I'm high risk for heart attack. So I'm just like, I kind of want to come in to get checked out just to make sure I'm okay. So the doctor said, fine. The problem was my doctor decided to retire, and I use this because apparently this woman has retired 3 times this year. And I'm like, I'm sorry. She's taking breaks. You don't retire 3 times. Like, no, that's not how this works. I think that's how this works. I mean, according to my dad, he didn't retire to go back to work, but this woman keeps retiring and coming back. Luckily, she was doing it at first in between my appointments, so I didn't notice until this time where they're like, yeah, she's on her retirement again. Oh, sweet Lord. So I'm like, all right, I'll see another doctor. That's fine. They're just going to have to look at my records, blah, blah, blah. And of course, every time you go in, especially if you're seeing a new doctor, you have to explain to them your entire history of medical things. So I had to go in and explain like everything to this woman, and she's like, you're kind of young to have had a stroke. Look, listen, thank you. I appreciate that. But medical ailments don't care how old you are. I'm just going to put that out there. They don't care. So yes, I am young to have had a stroke. I had a stroke at 35, I think it was 35, 34 maybe, between there. So we get to the doctor's office, and like I'm messaging like Rachel and Becky and showing them all the crazy stuff in the doctor's office, and I felt fine. I had a stomach ache earlier that week, but I had eaten some sausage Alfredo that I make, and the sausage that we got this time was a little fattier than normal. Hey, do y'all mind? Can y'all knock it off? They're gonna play. You okay, Anais? She's hiding from them. You knock it off. Go sit. Anyways, so I go in and I'm explaining my medical history to the new doctor. I'm like, you know, yeah, stroke, high blood pressure, possibly randomly. Because it's funny how whenever you go, why is it whenever you go to the doctor, whatever is bothering you and the reason why you're going to the doctor always seems to magically fix itself for that little bit of time you're at the doctor's office. And then as soon as you leave, boom, it's unfixed. So my blood pressure had been super high the entire time I had COVID. And I get to the doctor's office, my blood pressure is damn near perfect. And I'm like, mother chicken. And I'm thinking maybe it's the cuff that I have. Nope, because I came home, my blood pressure was still perfect. I'm like, mother chicken. So they still did like tests. They're just like, you know, we're going to check your iron. We're going to, they did like the push my hands, pull my hands, push my foot. And so I did all that. And hold on a second. There's a little girl trying to run from the doggies because they're being mean. Hi. So while I'm sitting there, you gonna go back down? She's doing like a wellness check. She's checking my lungs. She's like, you know, how's your asthma been? I'm like, my asthma's been pretty good actually. I had maybe 1 or 2 days where I was worried about my asthma while I had COVID, but other than that, I'm like, I felt fine. And she was like, well, that's good. Let's check your, you know, your heart and everything else. They did checks and they're like, everything looks good. We're going to take you and send you down for labs and have blood drawn, which you guys know, Miss Coffee, she's getting her blood drawn. And so I was just kind of like, oh, well, you know, Anna, where are you going? These animals, I'm telling you, they're all the most lively at this point of the day. So they're all trying to play with each other, but the dogs are too big to play with the ferrets, so they're scaring the ferrets, and the ferrets still want to play with them. It's a hot mess. Anyways, so she does my wellness check. She goes, everything looks fine. You look pretty healthy. I'm not seeing anything that's causing me worries, blah, blah, blah. Now, remember that phrase. I'm not seeing anything to cause me worries. I then go down to the lab to have my blood drawn. Now, the phlebotomist there was amazing. She was super nice, and she talked to me and distracted me from the fact that she was drawing blood, where I did feel the initial prick of her, like, going in. It wasn't as bad as it normally is. Now, when I get blood drawn, I'm super extra. I'm just like, I hate it. I don't like it. And I always make some kind of a weird noise, like a squeak or something when I get blood drawn, because I can't freaking stand it. And she was just like asking me about the kids. She was asking me about life and all that other fun stuff. And she goes, see, there you go. You're all done. I was like, I survived. Look, listen. Usually I'm in there, Mr. Coffee's like sitting on me, holding me down because I won't sit still. I can't tell you how much I hate needles. I can't also tell you how much I hate when people go, but you have tattoos. What, didn't I say don't judge me in my life choices? Tattoo needles are different than I'm going to inject you or steal your blood needles. And I'm like, I'm anemic, so I don't think y'all should be taking this much blood from me. I'm just saying, I already have a problem with my blood, and now you're taking it. Anywho, and I know it regenerates fast, and before somebody's like, well, you're not really losing it. They're borrowing some of it. I know. But still, it's mine, and I don't want them to have it. So, there's that. So, Friday, I was like, I'm fine. I did live with you guys. We had a great time. I did my normal with Mr. Coffee, where when I finish live, I'll come sit up here and he'll ask me how live went, and I'll, oh, live went great, blah, blah, blah. And he'll sit here and play with his brother and his friend. Like, they'll play and I'll sit here and like edit a video or do whatever while I'm sitting here. And around 3 o'clock, I was like, I'm kind of hungry. Like, I'm kind of hungry. I don't want like him to go out to go get anything, but I'm still hungry. Like, I want something to eat. So I'm like, why don't I go make myself a salad quick, because I don't want anything super heavy because I'm going to have to go to bed. So I make a salad. I think I'm now scarred for life off salads. This is where it starts. So I'm sitting here minding my own crafty business at 3:30, and he goes, well, let's go to bed now because it's late. All right, bet. I'm tired. You're falling asleep. Let's go. So we pack up everything. clean up the living room, clean up the kitchen, go to bed. Go to sleep. Have no problem going to sleep. Now, we usually sleep in on Saturdays, okay? Because Friday nights are like a big thing in our house. And again, the dogs are going at it. Y'all done? They're not done. So, yeah. Daisy's trying to get Killian to chase her. Anywho, so I didn't have any trouble going to sleep. And Saturdays we sleep in because it's such a big, Friday's such a big day that everybody just kind of sleeps in on Saturday. We usually get up about between 10 and 11 we usually wake up, because I usually try to get up at 11 so that I can get whatever diamond paintings I want to get from Diamond Art Club. So like Diamond Art Club's releases is my alarm clock. So I'm sitting there minding my own crafty business. About 7 o'clock I wake up. And I'm like, ow, my stomach hurts. Now, first thing you think of when your stomach hurts, this is about to be a TMI story, so get ready. I'm like, do I gotta take a dump? Like, why does my stomach hurt? Like, you know how when you get those gas bubbles sometimes and you gotta kind of rock yourself back and forth to get the gas out, and then you're like fart or burp and you feel fine? That's what it felt like, okay? So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I think I have to burp or something. And I kept burping and I kept farting, and Mr. Coffee's like, he's like, something's going on. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. Sorry, notifications are coming up on my phone and I'm like, I'm whatever. So Mr. Coffee's stirring in bed, like he's like back and forth because I'm making all this noise, and I'm rocking back and forth on the bed. The good thing is that we have that memory foam mattress. Thank God for that memory foam right now. And so when I'm moving around, he can't feel it on his side of the bed because it's a memory foam. So it's remembering me rocking, but it's not remembering it enough to have him have the same memory, okay? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, my stomach hurts really bad. I'm going to go sit and try to go to the bathroom. I actually was able to go to the bathroom. And I was like, all right, bet. Like, but why don't I feel any better? So I'm rocking back and forth, and I'm rocking back and forth, and then there's like because the dogs sleep in my bedroom at night, and they don't come out of my bedroom until I'm awake and one of us is leaving out of the room. So I'm like, but why do I, excuse me, I'm like, why do I still feel like I have to burp or something? Like, I could not get whatever it was to go away. About 30 minutes later, I'm still thriving in pain, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like rubbing my chest and trying to like push on my stomach a little bit, but pushing on my stomach was hurting. And then about 20-30 minutes later, the pain started radiating from the center of my chest, like right in the middle of my breastbone, and then it just shot to my back. Now, when I was pregnant with my kids, all 3 kids, I had what's called back labor, meaning I didn't feel it in my stomach. I felt it in my spine. And that's what it felt like. And I was like, oh my God, my back hurts. And now I'm like rolling around on the bed back and forth. And Mr. Coffee's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know, but my freaking stomach hurts. Oh my God. And I'm saying it just like that. I'm like, oh my God, it hurts. And I'm rolling back and forth, and I'm like moving around trying to figure out what's a comfortable position for me to be in because I'm in a lot of pain. About 20 minutes later, I'm almost in tears. I'm like, I can't do this. What is going on right now? Like, it felt as if I was in labor again. And then the pain started going up. It felt like it was going up underneath my shoulder blades. And I'm like, oh my God. So I came downstairs. And I call my dad, and I'm like, Paul, when he knows when I have a medical emergency, because I'm like, hey, question. That's the first thing I say whenever I call him and I have a medical question is like, hey, question. And he's like, what's up? And I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. And he's like, okay, it sounds like your gallbladder, so you need to get out to the ER. Where's Jordan? Which, for those of you who don't know, that is Mr. Coffee's real name. So I was like, he's upstairs. Well, he's like, go upstairs real quick. So I go upstairs, and Mr. Coffee's laying there in bed with his eyes open, but he's like still kind of half out of it. And he's like, am I on speaker? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, because I don't remember the last time I actually used my phone as a phone. Like, I always have it on speaker. Who talks on a phone like this anymore? Like, nobody does that. Anyways, so I'm sitting there, and I know somebody over in the comment section is talking about, I do that. Well, I don't, okay? I don't. So I'm sitting there, and my dad's like, you know, hey, Jordan, get up. I need you to take her out to the ER. Something's going on with her gallbladder. And Mr. Coffee's like, all right, I got it. So Mr. Coffee gets up, he gets dressed, he checks on the kids. The kids are still kind of like zombies. So we knock on the next door neighbor's door and ask her if she wouldn't mind listening out for the kids. They're still in bed. And she said, yeah. So she comes over and she sits in the living room here waiting for the kids to wake up, because kids get their own breakfast and stuff. They're pretty much self-efficient. It's just that Orion can only be left by himself for like, what, 30 minutes? And so I was just like, I was just sitting there like, all right, let's, and I wasn't even trying to fight him on going to the hospital at this point, because I'm like, no matter what I'm thinking, I feel like I have like the biggest gas bubble in the world. Daisy, leave it. And I'm like, and I can't get out enough gas to get it to stop. So Mr. Coffee takes me to the emergency room. We get there, and right as I'm like getting in the door, there's the guy that's standing at the door taking temperatures and make sure that you're not, you know, testing positive for COVID or anything, trying to walk into the hospital. So, are you tired, Gumball? Gumball's just laying in the middle of the floor down there. Wonder if I can... So, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so he has you like put your wrist up to this machine, and then he gives you a sticker that says, you know, your temperature is normal. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, I can't stand up anymore. At this point, I'm in tears, okay? And for me to cry in pain, I'm in serious pain. I have a very high pain tolerance, and I'm not just saying that because, oh, she has a high... No, you don't understand. I gave birth to 3 children naturally. I literally did it once and went, let's do it again. I'm insane, okay? I'm a psychopath. These are things we know about Miss Coffee. Just know Miss Coffee is a psychopath. So, because anybody that's willing to give birth naturally once and then do it again, and then again, you're a psychopath. You're a psychopath, but it's okay. You're a great psychopath, but you're a psychopath. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I can't stand up at this point. I'm literally, like, they have like a window that you're talking to them through, and Mr. Coffee's filling out paperwork. I'm in the fetal position on the floor. Ouch. Ouch. The lady comes in from like the ER doors, and she's like, how can I, oh my God. She goes back through the ER doors, gets the little thing, and she goes, we're getting the bed ready for her right now. So Mr. Coffee picks me up and carries me over to the waiting room area after he finishes picking up paperwork. And I'm like, I can't. Oh my God, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. And for like a split second, I went, am I pregnant? Like, am I freaking about to give birth right now? Take it. I've had a tubal ligation. And that, if you don't know what that means, I'm fixed. Okay? I'm fixed. Like a dog. I'm not supposed to have any more churn. 3 is enough. Okay? So I'm sitting there. And they come back and they're like, you know, go ahead and bring her back. You can come back with her. So Mr. Coffee walks me back there. He puts me on the gurney, and like within minutes, it's like a swarm of nurses were just like, I have people stabbing me with IVs, drawing blood, taking blood pressure, checking my temperature, listening to my heart. I literally have 5 nurses around me, and I'm just like, and they're like, where does it hurt? I'm like, telling them where it hurts, showing them, explaining to them what the pain is like and everything. And then the doctor comes over and he's like, hey, what we got here? I'm like, pain, lots of pain. And he goes, I got something for that. He put something in the IV port, which I still have a little something right there from the IV. He put something in the IV port. He goes, you should be good here in about 5 minutes. And I'm like, all right. He's like, let's get her an ultrasound. Let's get her a CAT scan. Let's get her this. Let's get her that. Let's stop playing with this. Y'all taking too long to get this stuff done. Let's get this stuff done. And I'm like, I like this doctor. He is hustling, okay? And I liked him even more because his last name was the last name of my auntie. So his last name was Yates. And I was like, Dr. Yates, please. Oh my God, it hurts so bad. And he's like, I got you. I got you. So he gives me whatever he puts in my IV. I didn't know it was pain medication at the time. But he puts it in, and within, I don't know, 10 minutes, the pain was gone, like that. And I was just like, what was that? And he goes, we don't know what that is. What is going on? But we're going to figure it out. So he goes, we're going to get you worked up here. We're going to get a bunch of tests and everything else. Go ahead and put on this hospital gown. You're probably going to be here for a bit. So I tell Mr. Coffee, go ahead and leave, because I wanted him to go back home to be with the kids. I'm very paranoid about having people I don't really know that well with my kids. But in an emergency situation, I don't care if they sit with them for a few minutes. But I don't want somebody long-term watching my children. I don't trust anybody in this world to watch my children longer than 5 minutes besides myself or my husband. I said what I said. There's too many things that go on in this world that I'm super paranoid. Don't like people watching my children. So I'm just like, all right. They take me back to get me an ultrasound. Now, I've never had really an ultrasound on anything besides my uterus, because I'm a female. So babies come out. I create souls on my inside. They might be dark souls, but I create souls nonetheless. So I've never really had an ultrasound on anything besides my uterus. So I'm just like, what are they ultrasounding? And she's like all over my stomach. She has like that little blue goopy crap that she puts on it. It's super hot when she first puts it on, and then it cools down after a second. She's doing this on my stomach and then like rolling it around, and she's like taking pictures and pressing buttons, and like she's doing it so fast. And then she goes, all right, we're going to take you and go get you get scanned. And I'm like, okay. So she takes me to another room with a big circular thing and the bed on it, and she's like, okay, I need you to sit up here, and the technician's gonna come out. So the technician comes out, and it was like slow motion, because he was one of those like really attractive doctors, and he like slow motion comes out. I'm like, if you don't move your sexy ass over here and do whatever you gotta do to this goddamn machine now. Like, you ever have one of those doctors that you get mad at because they moving hella slow, but they cute, so you're kind of thankful that they're moving slow so you can take longer to look at them? It was one of those moments. I love my husband to death, but eye candy is eye candy. Hey, look, listen, no shame. So I'm sitting there, and he's like, all right, sweetie, I'm going to need you to, sit here, hold this board, and we're going to take a couple of pictures. We're going to let it go around. I'm going to tell you to take a deep breath and then release it and just follow what I say. And I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting there with this little board like I'm being arrested and taking pictures or something. And he's like, deep breath. And I'm like, and he's like, all right, good. Now we're going to do it again, except we're going to have you roll over to your side. Okay. Roll over to my side. He goes, deep breath. And he asked me to do it on both sides. And he goes, all right, we're going to take you off here. He picks me up. He puts me back in the wheelchair. They wheel me back to the emergency department. Then another person comes in, and they're doing x-rays. So he comes in, he tells me to hold the board again, shoots a bunch of x-rays and everything else. They come in, they check my blood pressure again. I have a nurse coming by telling the doctor what's going on with my blood work and everything. And the doctor's looking through all his notes. He's looking at this, he's looking at that. Like, they were hustling that day. I felt good about what was happening, because when I went in for my stroke, the nurses that I saw were absolute garbage. They were more like, they were upset because I said I didn't like needles, and I wouldn't let them stab me 3 times with needles. I was like, I would rather you put all the stuff into the IV than to continuously have to continue stab me with whatever it is you're stabbing me with. Well, if we put it in the IV, it's going to take too long. You got somewhere to be? Anywho, so I was like, all right, and I'm seeing him go through his stuff, and I'm like, I actually feel a lot better. I think it was just gas, but he's like, no, that wasn't gas. We're going to figure out what that was. So it's maybe 20, 30 minutes later, he comes back, and he has like this big like arm full of stuff. And he goes, okay, so we got your scans and everything back. And he pulls up a picture of the x-ray. And you see like this little brown or black something. And I'm like, oh, well, my soul really is as dark as I thought. And he goes, no, that's just the x-ray. I'm like, I know what an x-ray is. I have an old-timey doctor as a father. Like, I know what an x-ray is. But I was just trying to be funny, because at this point I was nervous, because I was like, I just want it to be gas. I didn't want it to be anything serious. I've never had anything serious wrong with me before. So he's like, okay, we're not seeing anything like in your lungs. Your lungs look clear. Your heart looks good. And I'm like, okay. And then he shows like he's reading off the CT scan and showing that they had found some abnormality in my gut. And I was like, okay. And he's like, your colon is full of poop. I hope so. And he's like, yeah, me too. And he goes, I'm like, so am I just constipated? And he's like, no. And then he pulls up the ultrasound. Now, again, remember, Miss Coffee is slow. I ain't never had nothing ultrasound before besides, like, my uterus. So he's like, do you see you see this? And he points at something, like a little, like, it looks like a little bean. And I was like, is that a motherfucking baby? Look, listen, I might have been super dramatic when I said it, but I said it really loud. And he's like, no. And then he points to the other two. And I'm like, am I having freaking triplets? He's like, ma'am, shh, you is loud. No, those aren't babies. Oh, thank God. Okay, so when we lived in Pennsylvania, we had a friend, and she went in because she thought something was wrong with her gallbladder. She came out with an 8-pound baby, okay? Full term, 8-pound baby. She had no clue. And the baby now is like adorable and big, and I think she's like in 2nd grade. It's the funniest thing. So I'm just like, what is that? And he goes, well, this here, and he circled another part, and there was something on there that's about this big. And I'm like, well, what the hell is that? He goes, it's a little bit smaller than a baseball bat or a baseball. And I was like, what is it? He goes, you see that little circle underneath this one, the bigger one? I'm like, yeah. He goes, that is your ovary. Okay, so what's on top of it? Like, I know anatomy in the circle and the tubes and the uterus, but there's not supposed to be anything on top of the circles with the tubes. And he goes, exactly. He goes, that's a cyst. And I'm like, did it pop? Did it rupture? Is that what was causing my pain? He goes, no. Also, have you had any stomach pain before now? I'm like, I had stomach pain like earlier this week because of something I ate. But other than that, no, I really haven't had any issues with my stomach. And he goes, that's a cyst. That is going to need to be removed. And how, pray tell, do you think you're doing that? I was confused. And then another lady comes in and she goes, hi, hello, hey, how you doing? Who is you? And she goes, I'm your surgeon. And then right as she says it, they throw a code in the hospital. Emergency to the OR. Somebody got some shit going on. Like, somebody got something going on. And I was like, oh, snap, y'all busy today. And she goes, oh, don't worry, that's for you. The hell it is. What the hell are you talking about? She goes, hi, my name is Doctor. Her name's not Doctor, but you don't need to know my doctor's name. And she goes, my name is Doctor. I'm your surgeon. Like the Surgeon General. Like you coming in to tell me I need to stop smoking. Like the little thing on the side of a pack of cigarettes. Because I tell you right now, all my vape juice is at the bottom. And it don't say Surgeon General. I'm just saying. She's like, no. So you are a smoker. I'm like, yeah. She goes, how many packs a day do you smoke? I'm like, I don't know, because I vape. And she goes, oh, you're a vapor. She goes, how many times a day do you refill your tank? And I'm like, once. And she goes, okay, so you smoke about a pack and a half a day. A pack and a quarter. And I was like, okay. And she's like, okay, so, let me tell you what's going on. Excuse me. And I'm like, okay, yes, please tell me what's going on, because I'm highly flipping confused. And she's like, okay. So, you have gallstones, 3 of them. But let me explain to you about your gallbladder and what it does. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking this is going to be the boringest science class ever because I just want to know what's wrong. Like, I feel like it's like the grand finale of a show and they're dragging it on with the most unfreaking warranted information. Like, I'm getting ear raped about my gallbladder. And I'm like, okay, okay, all right. And she's going on about gallbladders. And then she goes, you have 3 stones. I'm like, infinity stones? And she goes, not really, because these ones are trying to kill you. Oh, well, that's not nice. What did I do to them? She goes, yeah, you formed them. And now they're trying to escape your body. And I was like, oh, well, does that mean like kidney stones are going to come out my pee hole or something? Or how does this work? And she goes, oh, no. Your gallbladder is also almost twice the size that it should be. It will need to be removed. I'm sorry, say what now? And she goes, that code that they threw was for you because we need to get you to the OR. No, you don't. No, you don't. What? What do you mean? No. No, you don't. And she goes, okay. So the reason why we need to take your gallbladder is, she goes, have you ever had issues with your gallbladder before? Never. My gallbladder, okay, it's one of those things that I never think about because I've never had problems with it. I know the major organs, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, okay? My fallopian tubes, my ovaries, and my uterus. I know the important ones. My gallbladder and my pancreas aren't important organs, so unless somebody brings them up, I forget. Just like if I didn't know, if I didn't live in North Dakota, I would have completely forgot that it was a state, okay? Which 90% of the time I was alive, I have forgotten that it was a state until Mr. Coffee came here. So I was just like, okay, well, what happens now? And she goes, well, we need to decide because we have 72 hours to get it out. And I'm like, why you say that? Because she goes, it's going to get worse. And she goes, so let me explain to you about the gallstones. So she's explaining to me about the gallstones. And she's explaining that there's 3 of them. And usually when you have stones, they will try to pass through the little airway things to get out. The problem is, in the spot where they would normally come out, they had lined themselves up and were trying to come out together. That's where the pain came from. So she goes, so it stretched the hole of where it connects to wherever it connects to. So she's like, so we need to get it out now. And I'm like, why? She goes, because it will literally, like, it essentially will break off of where it's attached to if we don't get it out now. We have about 72 hours before that happens. So we need you to make a choice. You either have surgery right now or tomorrow. And I'm like, can I do it tomorrow? Like, they were going to tell me to come back in like they were going to give me antibiotics and stuff and have me come back later. But then she realized that the stones, before she realized, because she thought, they told her that I had gallstones. What they didn't tell her is that they were like trying to come out at the same time. So, which that looks dirty. So she was just like, so we need to get this out. So you need to make the decision. Do you want it taken out now or do you want it taken out later? And I'm like, well, you already got me hooked up to the IVs and everything. I really wanted to talk to Mr. Coffee about it, but I didn't have a chance. And I was like, let's just do it now because I already have the IVs. And I'm thinking in my head, it's the weekend. And she said it before that it was an outpatient surgery. So like you have it and then you go home that day. And she goes, also, how long have you had that hernia? I don't know, like a year or two, I guess. Now, my belly button is different than most people's, okay? Because it was an outie belly button. So it was flush with my stomach and then it kind of came down to like a circular V like this. Kind of looked like a little nose. And my belly button has always been super sensitive, so I don't let people touch it. I don't touch it. Like, I only touch it to wash it. And it was only within the last 2 years that it actually started hurting whenever I did touch it. And so I was like, I had an umbilical hernia when I was a baby, and my parents got it fixed. Like, that's about all I know. And she's like, well, you have a hernia, and since we're going in to get your gallbladder, we can go ahead and just fix that hernia as well. And I'm thinking, oh, well, more likely they'll just go up underneath where they had already cut, fix it up, and then move on. It's taken me many years to like myself, to like how I look. Because I'm not overweight. Like, I'm not obesely overweight. And I'm not skinny. I'm in that happy medium. Like, I got the mom bod. And I'm okay with the way my body looks. So when she said she was repairing the hernia, I'm thinking she's not going to really, like, nothing's going to change with how I look, minus I might have a couple of extra, like, stitches or something. And she was like, they do it laparoscopically, so you won't even have stitches, you'll have glue. And I'm like, does the glue have a little gorilla on it with, like, the medical face mask and the scrubs? And she goes, something like that. And so I was like, that's cool. And so they're like, well, we're going to go ahead and get you admitted and we are going to shoot to have your surgery tomorrow. And I was like, okay. So they went and set up everything they needed to set up for that. And then they finally took and put me in a room, to which I called Mr. Coffee and explained to him what's going on. And I had to call my parents and let them know what was going on so that they could tell the family. Excuse me. And yeah, so I'm sitting there and hold on a second. I gotta stay hydrated. Apple juice. Wah, 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 wah. I haven't been drinking a lot of coffee because it dehydrates you. And right now, apparently I need to stay hydrated. So she comes, the lady comes back in after a few hours and she tells me, you're on a liquid diet because you're having surgery tomorrow. So I need you to stay on a liquid diet for tonight. And I was like, okay. So they gave me like a broth, and I was happy to have the broth because it was beef broth and it was warm, and I was freezing my ass off because hospitals are like kept extremely cold because, you know, germs don't live at cold temperatures. So I was just like, all right, bet. I was happy. But then when I got the broth, I was hella mad because I was sitting there having the picture in my head that I just eaten ramen noodles, because that's what the broth tastes like. It tasted like I just finished eating ramen noodles and I was drinking the juice afterwards. So I was just kind of like, all right. And she goes, well, we're going to call and try to get some more medical history from your husband so you can rest. And I'm like, what? And she's like, we're going to get some. I'm like, why would you call my husband for medical history? No. I'm like, I'm sorry. No, no, we're not doing that. Why don't you go ahead and call my dad? And she's like, your dad? I'm like, yes, call Paw. And she's like, Paw? I'm like, it's my dad. I'm like, he will be able to give you all my medical history and everything else that you need to know. Plus, he's my dad, so he can explain to you and talk to you about the umbilical hernia. Also, he's in the medical field, or it was in the medical field before he retired, so he'll understand the lingo and everything else. Call my dad. I'll talk to my husband. So she said, okay. So she went and did whatever she did. And then I talked to Mr. Coffee about what was going on and everything. I asked to speak to the kids. Saturday night, I was very, very depressed because I was in a hospital and was not going home. And I knew I was going to have surgery. I wasn't excited about it. So I tried my best to try to stay in good spirits. And I had a really cool view, which was the helicopter outside the window. And so I was excited about that. All right, sorry about that. It was Ruby Q letting me know. I have started another Scentsy party with Ruby Q for the holidays. The holiday collection was released today. And so I started another party with her for the holidays. And this time, whenever I collect my rewards, I am going to be giving a couple of special people some Scentsy for Christmas. Minus like my family and stuff. Like I'm going to give some subscribers Scentsy for Christmas. Like I'm going to just randomly pick people to give some of the prizes that I get this time. So look out for that. The party is over on Facebook. And she'll have links and all kinds of fun stuff going on over there. We had a great time the first time, so I can't wait to do it again. This time, I need to find that Australian and that Canadian seller for Scentsy because the Australian seller, I think, can only sell in Australia. So if you folks in Australia are interested, let me know so that I can start a party with her. And I'm trying to find somebody that is Scentsy in the UK because I know like people like Cal and Rachel and them would like to join in as well. So yeah, sorry, that was kind of random, but I had to go check that message because she like I kept 3 messages back to back and I'm like, is there an emergency? Anytime somebody messages me back to back like that, I always think it's an emergency. Anyway, let's get back to the story. So Saturday, I'm sad and depressed, and I decide I'm going to be a creepy creeper because I'm that mom, okay? I'm a psychopath. I'm a parental psychopath when it comes to my kids, okay? So I'm in my head sad and depressed because I want my kids, I want my dogs, I want my ferrets, I want my husband, okay? I'm in a hospital by myself. I told Mr. Coffee, do not come up here because it's just going to make me even more upset because I can't go home with you. And so he said, fine. So I talked to him on the phone. And then if you didn't know, on your cellular device, if you have an Echo, I don't know about the Google thing, but if you have an Echo, which is the Alexa, if you have one of those, you can drop into it from your cell phone. So that's what I did. I was dropping into the house in different parts of the house from my cell phone. Now, we have one of those devices in almost every room of this house. Every bedroom has it. My living room and my craft room have it. Now, the only room in my house that doesn't have it is the kitchen, which I will be getting one for the kitchen because I really wanted to have one in the kitchen because I was trying to help Mr. Coffee cook something, and then he just scratched it and was like, we're making breakfast for dinner. So there's that. And then I also was dropping into the Ring doorbell because Maggie kept going outside, running in and out. And I was like, stop running in and out of my dang house, letting bugs in. And she just was like, Mommy? I'm like, yeah. She's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm stuck in the Ring doorbell, honey. She legit thought I was stuck in the Ring doorbell. And I was like, no, honey, I'm at the hospital, but Mommy can still see and talk to you from the house. Like, the house is alive with Mommy's voice. Mommy's always here. So I got to at least talk to the kids. Orion was excited to hear from Mommy, and so was Maggie. Mr. Coffee was scared to death because he was like, what the hell? I'm like, you think you going somewhere? You ain't going nowhere. And he's like, how the hell did you do that? It's magic. I'm like, you will never get away from me, ever. And he's like, okay. He's just playing this game, and then I just popped into the living room, and all he could see was my face from the hospital, and he was just like, what the hell? So I did get to at least talk to the kids and my family and stuff. I talked to my parents, and I felt bad because I don't like making my parents worry about me because there's no point. This was one of those freak things. So I'm sitting there, and then I was like, I should try to get some sleep. So I sat up and I drawled a little bit, and I was watching YouTube on my phone, and the nurse would come in and she'd check my blood pressure. They had to give me antibiotics for something. I'm going to guess because I had an infection in my gallbladder or something. And so they gave me antibiotics and everything, and they're like, try to get some rest. Surgery will be at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I'm like, all right. What was it? 4 o'clock in the morning comes. Knock, knock, knock. Hi, how you doing? I was great until you walked your ass in here. I was trying to go to sleep. What the hell are you doing? Like, I only went to sleep 2 hours ago. She's like, we're going to check your blood pressure and your medication and stuff. And I'm like, okay. Checked my blood pressure, checked my pulse ox, which is where they check your oxygen. They put that thing on your finger. And then she's like, we're going to put these little, they put these little cuffs on my calves to keep, like, circulation going. I'm like, I can move my feet. I'm not paralyzed. Like, okay. And she goes, we're just going to leave those on there. And she gave me a heating pad because I told her, I was like, my stomach, you know, is kind of, can I get a heating pad? And she goes, yeah. So she gives me a heating pad. It's the coolest heating pad, too, because you put water in the machine, you turn the machine on, and then the water funnels through the pad itself, which is plastic, and it keeps the water warm the entire time. And I'm like, can y'all bill me for this? Because I need to take this home. Like, I kept trying to take all their stuff home with me. I'm like, can y'all just bill this to the insurance? Because, like, I could totally use one of these at my house because my back be hurting sometimes, and that would be amazing. And it stayed hot for hours, like all night. Well, then 4 o'clock, like I said, she comes in, she checks everything, takes her about 10 minutes to do everything, and she leaves. And I'm thinking, okay, I can go back to sleep. 5 o'clock, knock, knock, knock. Hi. I'm like, are you coming in to check my... And then I seen the person, and it wasn't my nurse. And I looked in her hand, and they had a little hand cart thing, like a little hand caddy. And I was like, oh my God, you're here to draw blood. And she goes, yes, ma'am, you're the lady that doesn't like needles. I'm like, yeah. She goes, but you have to. I'm like, I know. I have so many tattoos. I know. I don't know why y'all, that's the first thing y'all go to. I am aware that I am covered in tattoos. I get it. That doesn't mean I like needles. I'm not sitting at the tattoo parlor like, yeah, come on. They're not stabbing me with something and trying to draw my blood out or leave something in there. It's just ink. And it feels more like scratching than like them actually like, it feels more like scratching than them actually like stabbing you. So I'm like, tattoos I can handle. This, no, I can't do it. So she's like, okay. And she's talking to me and she's shaking my arm. And I'm like, don't shake that. The bird meat fall. Like, you're making all this fall. Like, you're making me, like, feel some type of way. Like, she had all my little arm meat going. I'm like, don't do that. I don't got enough. Like, I got to build up strength right there. You up there shaking my little gobbler right there. Like that, like my turkey gobbler. Usually you get them right here. But mine's like, we all got this problem going, okay? It's not so bad on this arm. Why is it bad on this arm? I use this arm more. Sorry. back to the story. So she grabs my arm and she shakes it and she puts a little blue rubber band thing on there that I hate. And she's like, I'm like, please stop doing that. I hate when they do that. And I know they do that to get the vein to pop up. But I'm like, I have good veins, honey. Do you not know about the back of my hands? This is vein porn for all the nurses on my channel whenever I do videos. They're just like, oh, look at those veins. I could put 18 in that. Like, even my dad does it. So, like, I know the nurses on my channel is sitting there every time I do an unboxing. They're just like, ooh, look at that. I can get that real good. Stop it. Stop. You should be ashamed of yourself. Stop fantasizing over shooting me in the hand with needles. It's gross. Anyways. So, I'm sitting there. And she is talking to me. And she takes the blood and everything. So I'm like, okay, all right. She takes the blood. She's all finished, and I'm like, thank you. And she goes, try to get some rest. You have, from the records, you have surgery in a few hours. Okay. I lay back down. I go back to sleep. I'm asleep almost immediately. 6 o'clock comes. Knock, knock, knock. Blood pressure. Bitch. I am trying to sleep. Go away. And she's like, I gotta check your blood pressure again. Why? What do you think happened in the last hour that's gonna stress me out besides getting my blood drawn? That's gonna stress me out that bad that my blood pressure is gonna change. She comes in, she's like, do you need anything? Sleep. I need sleep. She's like, oh, it's okay. Is it though? Is it okay? And she's like, let's take your medicine. We got to change out your, because I guess the machine was beeping because I was out of antibiotics and they had to keep that going. So she had to bring in more antibiotics and she figured while she was in there, she might as well check my blood pressure. And I'm like, okay. And so I lay back down when she's done. Knock, knock, 7 o'clock. Knock, knock, knock. Hello? Oh my God. What the hell? Why won't they let you sleep? Why do they hate your life? I'm like, she's like, do you need anything? Sleep. She's like, oh, okay, well, did you order breakfast yet? Look, listen, I don't think you understand who you're talking to, okay? The way my body is set up, I'm not an early bird. I'm a dirty bird, not an early bird. Yet no, I did not order breakfast. I'm not even awake. And I can't sleep because every time I try, you guys come in here knocking at the door wanting something. My blood pressure, like, can I go to sleep? And she's like, well, go ahead and order yourself some breakfast because you're going to be going to surgery soon. I know this, which is why I was trying to sleep. And she goes, you shouldn't be, sorry, I have a ferret coming up through the back of the couch, scratching my butt, and then my mom messaged me. And if you have a mom that's Southern, you know you do not answer your mother. So yeah, so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all right, now my family, I talked to my family before I went into surgery because I wanted to at least let them know that I was getting ready to go into surgery. My dad was the one that sounded the alarm to my siblings to let them know that I was having an emergency surgery. And I didn't think it was an emergency surgery at first. And she goes, definitely an emergency surgery because I'm never in here on Sundays unless it's an emergency. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that would be an emergency surgery. Yeah. So, sorry, I'm messaging my mom. There's a ferret over here. There's animals all over my house. It's like Wild Kingdom in here. So yeah, so I'm sitting there and I talk to my parents and I call my husband, of course. Hi, Anais. I call my husband, of course, you know, I love you. Please hug my babies for me. Kiss them for me. I talk to the kids. And then my sister calls me, and she's a hypochondriac. For those of you who don't know, Auntie Jasmine is the biggest hypochondriac on the planet. Like, she could have a hangnail and think that she was dying, okay? Like, she's a hypochondriac for real. She calls, and she's like, how you feeling? And my sister is also currently going through nursing school right now. So, like, she knows more than everybody else. Like, you can't tell her nothing, okay? So I'm like, I feel fine. And she's like, so you're going to have surgery? Nah, I just like hanging out at hospitals. Yes, I'm going to have surgery, Jasmine. Well, what happened? I don't know, Jasmine. It all happened so quickly. I don't really know what happened. So they can't be taking your gallbladder. I'm like, why not? Because they don't take your gallbladder out. Yes, they do. You can't live without your gallbladder. Yes, you can. No, you can't. Look, look, look. And actually, this conversation happened Saturday night, because then we ended up getting my dad in on the call, because she was trying to tell me that I was wrong and my doctor was wrong because nobody takes your gallbladder out. And I'm like, girl? Ooh, girl. Huh. So then Sunday morning came and I called my parents again, and I called Mr. Coffee and the kids again. And the lady comes in about 8 o'clock and she goes, are you about ready for surgery? I'm like, I'm about as ready as I'm going to be. Like, I don't know what you think I'm doing in here. This isn't a fashion show. So, like, yeah, I'm ready, I guess. And she's like, well, we're going to go get the OR ready for you and everything. So they're going to get you prepped up in here. And I'm like, all right. And she goes, we don't really need to put a hat on or do it, because I already had one of my hats on. And they're like, no, she can just leave her hat on if she's willing to leave her hat on. I'm like, I can leave my hat on. She goes, do you have any jewelry on? And she goes, you'll have to take all your jewelry on. Do you have any piercings? I'm like, they were already taken out. And she goes, so, like, and they were looking at my ears, because the only piercing that they could see were my earrings. And they're like, do we need to tell her to take those out? I'm like, I'm not taking them out. My dad bought me these. I'm not taking them out. There's no way in hell I'm leaving these out of my ears. They've been in my ears since the day I got them, and I'm not taking them out. And she goes, calm down. It's fine. She goes, we'll just have you tape, like, they put tape on them. Like, I don't know where they thought they were going, but they put tape on my ears. They kind of, like, taped my ears to my head. And they were like, it's fine. And she's like, you'll have to take off your wedding ring. And I'm like, even though it's silicone? And she goes, oh, that looks like real metal. I'm like, no, it's a silicone ring. My husband has to wear silicone, so I wear a silicone ring too. And I really don't want to take it off, if you don't mind. She goes, oh, no, you'll be fine. If it's silicone, then you don't have to worry about it. And I'm like, all right. I really don't like taking my ring off. That I'm not a very materialistic type person. I can be. Don't get me wrong. I can be. But for the most part, I'm not. I am happy. Like, for our anniversary this year, I asked Mr. Coffee for a new heated blanket and sweatpants. But the things that I do have a lot of sentimental meaning to me. Like, obviously, my wedding ring. Even though it's not like a big bougie diamond, my ring means a lot to me. That's my love for my husband. That's 12 years of dealing with his crap and him dealing with my crap, and that means a lot to me. So I'm like, I don't really want to take off my ring. Surprisingly, both ferrets went back in their cage. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, what? Oh, it's a furniture store now messaging me. They have sales, and then they'll message me for some reason. I don't know. Anyways, so it comes time for me to go back for surgery. And I got this really cool nurse lady, and she's like, hi, how's it going? I'm like, hey, it's going however it's supposed to go, I guess, because y'all about to cut me open and deep sea dive in my organs. And so the nurse, or the surgeon, comes back in, and she's telling me about, she's telling me about how she's telling me again what all they're going to be doing. They're like, we're going to be fixing your hernia. We're also going to be taking out your gallbladder and the stones. We're not going to touch the cyst. And I'm thinking, well, you're in there. You might as well, like, matter of fact, while you have me out, if you have a dentist on standby somewhere, could you have him take out this bad tooth so I don't have to spend another $2,000 to get it taken out? They want $2,000 to take that tooth out and then wonder why I won't go back to the dentist. I did it. So, sorry, Ruby Q is messaging me. She's getting ready to make her last hurrah to Oklahoma. So for those of you who don't know, Ruby Q is moving to Oklahoma. And she should be there today, which means me and Ruby Q will now officially be in the same time zone. Welcome to Central Standard Time. Anyways, so the lady comes over and she's like, all right, she goes, the lady, she was just chit-chatting with me, and I think she was the anesthesiologist, and she comes over and she has like this needle with all this green stuff in it, and I'm like, oh, what's that? And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's just stuff that we have to use for the surgery. And I'm like, oh, okay. Am I going to be peeing funny colors with that? And she goes, yeah. I was like, yeah. It's always funny when they give you stuff that makes you pee funny colors and then you get concerned for about 30 seconds that something's wrong with your insides. Yeah. So she was like, so where are you from? You don't sound like you're from here. I'm like, I'm not from here. And she goes, you sound like you're from Philly. Hell no. Look, I don't got nothing against people from Philly, but I'm not from Philly. I'm like, I'm Southern. I'm from South Carolina. She goes, oh my God, South Carolina, you guys season your food way better than I do. And I'm thinking, okay. She goes, us palm colored people don't always know how to season our food. And I'm like, okay. Like, in a way, I was kind of uncomfortable because I'm like, is this a racist conversation that I shouldn't be participating in? And she's like telling me about her friend that she has. She's like, I have a black friend that's from Georgia. She taught me all I know about seasoning my food correctly. I'm like, I have a white husband. He's still learning how to cook with his ancestors. And she started laughing. And she goes, yeah. And she's like just chit-chatting with me. And she goes, I bet you make some bomb chili. I'm like, oh, girl, you don't even know. By this time, they've wheeled me into the OR. And I'm looking up. And they have like that big circular light. And I'm like, this room looks a lot nicer than the last operation room I was in. I'm not even joking. When I got my tubal ligation, it looked like they put me in a storage closet that was under construction. I was just like, why is half the ceiling missing? Like, is that supposed to be, like, something gonna fall in on me? Like, okay. And I'm like, well, this place is a lot nicer than that. And she goes, oh, okay. And she goes, well, what all do you put in your chili? Because, like, I can't seem to get my chili right. And I'm like, girl, let me tell you. And she goes, you can still talk. I'm going to put this oxygen on you, though, so that it's going to help you breathe through a surgery. And I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, yo, she duped me. I didn't know. I didn't know she was putting me under. I was just like, oh, shit. Like, I was like a little kid that was trying to fight sleep and finally sat still for 5 seconds. I was just like, oh, girl, in my chili, I put la, la, la. I was out, okay? And next thing I know, it was like, I love being put under for this reason. One of my favorite experiences about surgeries is the fact that they put you under and the way they do it, that it's just like, you're out. Now, when I had my tubal, they had me count backwards from 10. And I was like, I'm not going to sleep. And they're like, you're going to fight it? I'm like, I'm going to fight it. I'm not going to go to sleep. I made it to 3 before I passed out. I remember that. With this time, there was no counting back. She was just like, we're just going to put the oxygen mask on you. And it's like, before it could even fully touch my face, I was just like, look, not only do I like being put out because it's like this and you wake up, it's like the best sleep ever. I woke up feeling so rested. I was asleep, I guess. And then I was like, I put salt, pepper, tomato paste, blah, 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 like, and like the nurses were standing at the foot of my bed with their back towards me talking, and one of them was writing something. And I just pop up and I'm just like, so in my chili, I put salt, pepper, tomato paste, this, that, this, that. And she's like all 3 nurses like slow roll and they're just like, ma'am? Yes? She's like, you're awake. I went to sleep. And they're like, yeah, surgery's done. Hold up, what? I look up at the clock because they had a clock in there, and when they put the mask on, it was 9:00. When I woke up, it was 12:00, and I was like, what? Y'all put me under and didn't even give me the chance to fight it. And she goes, that's why we don't give people the chance, because we don't want you to fight it. We want you to just relax and go to sleep. And I was like, I'm relaxed, believe me. And the lady comes over, the surgeon comes over. She goes, everything went great. She goes, we were able to repair your hernia. It was really simple, easy. It took me about 20 minutes to repair that. She goes, it took us another 20, 30 minutes to get your gallbladder out. She goes, I would show you the stones, but apparently when they were taking my gallbladder out, the stones fell out. And yeah, like something happened and they just put it in a bag, and she just kind of showed me this bag of disgustingness. And like my gallbladder was like huge and a weird color. And I was just like, that was inside of me? Ew. And she goes, yeah, this is why it needed to come out. It literally was like It probably would have ripped itself off of the, whatever it's attached to, it was coming off. So she was like, you had to have had this problem for the longest time. Now, I didn't notice anything different after surgery. I didn't feel any different. And a lot of people have been saying, you'll feel so much better without your gallbladder. And I'm like, I wasn't feeling unbetter. Like, I don't know how to explain to people. I wasn't feeling like I was sick. I didn't have constant stomach aches. I wasn't having issues with my stomach. I had zero issues. This was 100% a surprise to me that my gallbladder was that bad. And I mentioned to her that the only thing different I felt was I could breathe a little bit better. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't know, but right underneath my boobs, there's always been like this little lump. And I never knew what it was. And again, I've been to the doctor how many times? No one has ever said anything about it, okay? I had that lump right underneath my boobs, and no matter how much weight I gained or lost, it would stay there. That was my gallbladder. It had been inflamed for a very long time, and it just never was causing me issues until it started making stones. And I was like, oh. So now the area underneath my boobs is now flat. And I'm like, oh, snap, this is what it's supposed to look like. I suck at adulting, y'all. Just know that. No, if you know nothing else, no, Miss Coffee sucks at adulting. And if this gets cut off, it'll start with, like, it'll snap over to the next section. So, because I'm going to try to go as long as my live would normally go. Sorry, I just remembered that I needed to get the new code for the group, Crafters Anonymous. If you have not joined us in the group, what are you waiting for? Join us over in the group. Me and Rachel Ray share a group, Crafters Anonymous, with Miss Crochet and Coffee and Rachel Ray. Every month we have a new monthly code in the group to get you a discount from Diamond Art Clubs. So go over and check us out. All you have to do is answer the questions and check the little box to agree to all the rules. It should automatically let you in. And unless you made a profile within like the last 6 months, and then it'll ask us. But as long as you answer all the questions, you're as good as gold. And you can come in and share all kinds of crafting projects. It doesn't have to be just diamond painting. We have a lot of fun in there. We randomly do giveaways because there's so many people in there. We don't get to do giveaways as much as we want to because it's really hard without Facebook trying to, like, you know, mess with our accounts. But we try to do giveaways as much as possible in there, and we do random acts of kindness and stuff like that, and you can get help with diamond painting questions and what have you. So if you have not joined the group Crafters Anonymous, please feel free to join the group. Me and Rachel would love to have you in there. Which I have to say a huge thank you to Becky's Madness for Crafting and Rachel Ray, because without these two women, I don't know how I would have gotten through the sanity part of this. And of course, like my dad and my husband, but Rachel and Becky sat and listened to me whine and complain about pain and looked at my wounds, even though Rachel, I kind of tricked Rachel because I was talking to Rachel and I was telling her how much it hurt. I was like, it hurt. And they were both contacting me, like randomly messaging me while I was in the hospital and making sure I was okay, make sure I didn't need anything, blah, 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 which, oh my God, you guys. Diamond, okay. We're going to take a break from all that medical talk real quick. Let's talk about Diamond Art Club's Halloween kits this year, okay? Let's chit-chat about it. We're going to talk about it in chat, but I'm going to tell you my thoughts, and then you guys can talk to me in chat about it. One, they literally just came out with this one this morning. Do you see that? Do you see that? Hello, come on, give it all Halloween. Yes, I need it. And then for those folks who don't know, rendering is what it's supposed to look like with the diamonds on it. Look at her face. Look how perfectly they got her face. Oh my God, I freaking love it. And tell me it glows in the dark. Look, listen, I will fight you for it, okay? Literally, I will fight you for it. And then let's see, what other kits did they have come out? We have our Jasmine Beckett Griffith with her little drag. Oh, I thought that dragon had numerous eyes. So we have our Jasmine Beckett Griffith there. Isn't it cute? And then there's the rendering on that one. I don't like the shading on her face, to be honest. But it is hella cute. Something about that shading right by the nose of some of these things. They just don't look right. We got Molly Harrison. Molly Harrison? Come on. Halloween time is the best time. They're giving us all that goodness. And then the rendering of it. Look at that. Like, that says Stitcherista all over it. Because you don't remember, when Stitcherista was doing adult coloring, she loved Molly Harrison. And, like, hello, come on. Now, these won't be released for a while because they're going to be pre-orders. But, oh my God, like, they're giving us all this Halloween goodness. I don't really like this one. This is Wicked Witch Estate. I'm not really feeling that one. Might be somebody's cup of tea, not mine. And then the rendering. But this one here, definitely going in the collection. Because I'm telling you right now, this better glow in the dark. If it does not, I will personally find a way to make this glow in the dark. Those flames will glow, which, let's read the things. I never read the things on it. It's a square. It has 4 ABs. It does not glow in the dark. It says, sadly, due to the current global shipping delays, our Halloween kits will be delivered after October 31st. However, they'll be offered at a 20% discount during the pre-order period to make up for the inconvenience. These will be released on Saturday. Yeah. Oh my, and they're releasing 10 kits. I'm kind of mad that it doesn't glow in the dark. So now I know I have a mission to find glow in the dark, because I didn't notice this until just now. Those are butterflies. Like, those are butterflies around that dragon. Oh my God, I love it. I freaking love it. What else did they have out? Oh, and then the little sugar skull girl. Oh my God, I love her. Isn't she cute? Even her rendering looked amazing. And these are all full drill that I know of, except for the little pug. The pug one wasn't full drill. That one was a partial, which is right here. But I don't even have a pug, but that's flipping adorable. Now, come on. Look at the little wrinkles on his face. And then we're going to go to his rendering. And he is a partial. And these will be available on Saturday. There's no sneak peeks for them because obviously they're the shipping delays. They're hella late. But, oh my God. And then there's this weird little witch thing. I'm feeling this one. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. With the little cat and you got the little witch like stomping through. This looks like it's out of a storybook. And then there's her rendering. And they're releasing 10 kits. So let's see how many they've released so far. I think that was the first Halloween one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they still have 2 more kits that they haven't released yet. I am waiting for this. Waiting for this. Oh my God, this is going to be great. So, yeah. So you guys, if you're interested in getting Halloween kits from Diamond Art Club, just know they won't be here in time for Halloween. But you get a 20% discount if you do order them. So, yeah. Get while the getting's good, because I know damn well I'm getting while the getting's good, because, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so. I come out of surgery, and I'm immediately talking. And that scared the nurses, because most people that come out, when they come out from under anesthesia, they aren't as alert as I was. I literally jumped out of anesthesia and went straight back into the conversation I was having before they put me under. And they were just like, what the hell just happened? Like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And they're just like, okay, okay. And I was like, I'm okay. Like, what's wrong? And they told me, you went through surgery already. Everything went great. She was explained, like I said, she explained everything. She showed me like the bag of grossness. And then they wheeled me back to my room, and I was really groggy. When I got to my room, I was tired, but I wanted to call my family to let them know that I was okay. I asked them, could they call my dad and my husband? I'm like, if you don't call my dad, he will call you. Believe me, he will find a way. So please, can you call my dad and my husband and let them know that I made it through surgery okay? And they said, fine. They're like, who is your primary? And I'm like, my husband, obviously. You're going to call him first, and then you can call my parents, because if something happens where you're not able to call my parents, at least my husband can let them know. So they went ahead and called Mr. Coffee. They called my dad to let them know that I got through the operation okay. And then I called them like as soon as I took a nap. I called them to let them know that I was doing okay, that I was just tired. Mr. Coffee's like, "Are you sure you don't want me to come up and visit?" I'm like, "I'm sure. Just focus on the kids." Like they said that as long as overnight tonight goes well, that I should be going home tomorrow. So they did the same thing to me Sunday that they did Saturday. They came in like starting at 4 o'clock. They came in every hour bothering me for something, and then the surgeon came in to ask me how I was doing. She was like, "You can take," and she was looking at my, because I still had the bandages on my stomach because I have four puncture wounds for my gallbladder and then the surgical incision area for my belly button. And she was looking at them because one of them was bleeding. They called it shadowing. One of them had a little bit of blood on the bandage, but the rest of them were clean. And she goes, "It looks like we didn't put enough glue on that one, so just be careful with that one." All right, hold on a second. Perfect timing. That was my doctor. I have a follow-up appointment for my surgery on Monday at 3 o'clock just for them to take a look at my wounds and make sure that they're healing okay. And from the looks of them, they look pretty good. They still have glue on them, which they told me that I could pick the glue off starting today, but I don't really want to pick it off because I've been I have irrational fears, and I was scared to take my bandages off because they told me Tuesday I could take my bandages off. I was scared to take my bandages off because I'm like, what if my insides fall out? I don't want my insides to fall out. And my dad's like, "Just take the damn bandages off." Now, Pawpaw's not good with bedside manner, but like medical wise, he got you. Bedside manner, no. No. Pawpaw's just like, "Off like a band-aid, ah." And I'm like, "Don't let my insides fall out." So yeah, so Sunday went smoothly. I was able, like, they came in at 7 o'clock in the morning and they were like, "Well, we're going to give you some pain meds. Do you feel like you feeling okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, how is your pain?" I'm like a 1. Because they give you that scale of 1 through 10 and they're like, "Tell us what your pain is." I'm like, "It's like a 1. And so they're like, "Well, we're going to give you some Percocets." And I'm like, "Percocet, Molly Percocet." And I was like, "I don't really, okay." There's Becky. Hi, Becky. And I was like, "I don't really feel like I need them." She's like, "Well, it might not feel like it right now, but you might need it later. So we're just going to go ahead and give you something for your pain." And I'm like, "I don't need," okay. Literally, if I say I don't need it, that doesn't mean try to shove it down my throat. But apparently that's what it meant. So she was just like, "Just go ahead and take it." And I'm like, "Okay." One of the reasons why I don't like taking heavy narcotics like that, like Percocet, oxycodone, and like all that heavy stuff, it doesn't sit well in my stomach and it makes me sick. Like a lot of times it just makes me queasy, but every once in a while I'll actually get sick. So I'm laying there and she's like, "I need you to take the pills because I can't leave them in here because they're narcotics. So I need to actually watch you take them." I think the hospital has trust issues. Like, what the hell? Okay. So I take the pills and I drink something with it. Like, she gave me an apple juice. And she's like, "All right, so we'll come back and check on you here in a little bit." All right, cool. And she was just like, she was going out of the room for 10 minutes and immediately my stomach started turning. I'm like, "Oh. Ooh. That's not going to sit well." I could already feel it trying to come up again through my throat, and my throat was already sore because they had a tube in my throat when I was in surgery. So my throat was already sore, and I'm like, "Oh, this isn't going to feel good." Now, if you've never had an operation done on your stomach, the gallbladder wounds don't hurt. Like, they hurt if I touch them, like if I'm pressing on them, but they don't hurt. But that umbilical cord hernia, that is at your core. So everything you do comes from that area. You fart, it comes from that area. You burp, it comes from that area. You have the hiccups. I'm learning that hiccups hurt. Where do they hurt? Everywhere. I can't sneeze. That hurts. Cough. I've had a little cough since I got home from the hospital. That hurts. And she was, like I said, she was gone for about 10 minutes, and I started feeling it like it's trying to come back up. I drank some more apple juice, but the feeling would not go away. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like retching. And I'm like, I pressed the call button, and she goes, "Yes, ma'am." And I was like, I'm about to be sick, and I can't make it to the trash can. The trash can's at the foot of my bed, but I can't sit up fast enough to get to the trash can because I'm in a lot of pain from my belly button. And I'm sitting up just like this in the hospital, and I'm like, I can't make it to the trash can. So do I just throw up on myself or the floor? Just, you got about 30 seconds to make a choice. And she comes, I hear like the squeaking of sneakers on the floor out in the hallway, and it's really fast, and it's like, ski, 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 ski. And she like runs into my room and gets like this far away from my bed, and she chucks a bag at me. She goes, "There." And I'm like, I grab it, and I went, ow, 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 ow. And she's like, "Oh, okay, so you're not feeling well." I'm like, no. It's the Percocet you gave me. I don't do well with heavy narcotics because I never take medicine. I only take medicine if I feel it's absolutely needed. If it's not absolutely needed, I'm not taking medication. And she's just like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, plus, I had nothing in my stomach. You gave me heavy narcotics with no food in my stomach. I don't know if that matters like it does for other meds, but there was no food in my stomach. I literally got sick off of apple juice. So I told her, I'm like, I don't really need anything. I'm fine. I just, like, could you give me a cup so I can rinse my mouth out? And she brought me, like, a little basin and a toothbrush and some water, and I got to brush my teeth, and I'm like, oh. And I'm like, now I'm really going to sleep, because now my stomach hurts, because I just spent, like, 5 minutes getting sick. And I'm like, I just need to take a nap. So I went ahead and took a nap, woke up, called Mr. Coffee again, talked to him about the kids and everything. Because he was going to go back to work Monday, but he had to take the kids back to school. So I talked to him, and then Monday came, and they told me that as long as everything went well on Sunday, I could go home Monday. So I'm sitting there, and they do their normal morning routine. They come in for blood pressure, blood draw, and all that other fun stuff, and they take me off the IV. And the lady's like, "You should be going home today, huh?" I'm like, "I hope so." I'm like, I really miss my kids. And she goes, "It's all right. You know, you'll be home soon." And I'm like, "I know." So I'm just sitting there waiting. I'm drawing and, you know, doing stuff to keep me occupied. And the surgeon comes in and she asks me how I'm doing. And I'm like, "I'm good." And she goes, "Well, we're going to have to take some more blood." And I'm like, why? You just, like, they literally had just taken blood 5 hours before then. So I'm like, why do you need more blood? Like, seriously, like, this is getting ridiculous now. And she was just like, "Because your bilirubin levels are a little high, and we want to make sure that, you know, you're not going to go jaundice on us, or that, you know, this like, there's not a reason for us to need to go back in and do another surgery or something." And I'm like, She goes, "But you just hang tight. We'll draw blood at noon, and as long as your bilirubin levels, if they stay the same or go lower, we'll let you go home." And I'm like, "Oh, please don't make me stay here another day. I can't do it. I can't." And so luckily, Mr. Coffee decided to take off work on Monday. And because I told him, like, I'm supposed to be coming home. So if I come home, I can't go get the kids or anything from school. So he's going to have to stay home. And, so she comes in like an hour later and she goes, "Are you ready to go home?" I'm like, "Yes, please." And I messaged Mr. Coffee. As soon as she said that, I messaged Mr. Coffee, "Time to go home." And so he rushes up to the hospital. And for those folks who don't know, because I was asked, "Miss Coffee, why didn't you take and call the ambulance?" In the time it would have taken the people from the ambulance place to get into the ambulance, I could have driven myself to the hospital. I live about 2 minutes from our local hospital. So, like, I can get... Why does this arm look so much bigger than this other arm? Like, I don't understand what's happening with my arms right now. Like, do you see this? Why? And why is my elbow so black? Jesus. Y'all, look, listen. I've been sitting on this goddamn on couch for way too long, okay? I'm ready to go back to my craft room. I can't with this. Oh, my furry ferrets are in their cage both sleeping. And then Oh, there's a daisy over here. I don't know if I can. Don't mind my couch. It's old. There's a daisy. Killian's over at the door. So yeah, so they went ahead and started the discharge process, and they let me go home. I came home. Like, Mr. Coffee had to take me to the pharmacy first because I needed to fill up meds. And I thought they had like a couple of different meds. It was just oxycodone for pain, and I'm like, I don't want that crap. Like, why would you? So I'm going to find one of those recycling places where you can take your medication when you're not using it, or if you don't need it anymore, you can take and put it in like this little recycling box at a pharmacy, and they'll do whatever they're going to do with it. So I'm going to do that because it was, I mean, luckily our insurance paid for all of it but $1, but I don't need it, and I don't like having stuff like that. So I'm just like, no, we're not. What we're not about to do is that. So I got home Monday, and the kids come home, and they were like, Mommy, Mommy. And Mr. Coffee had already told them, you know, don't jump on your mom. Don't, you know, squeeze her or anything. Watch out for her stomach because that's where she had surgery and everything else. So the kids came in, and they were like really gentle, and they gave me a hug and everything. And I noticed that something was up with Maggie. And I'm like, Maggie, what happened to your pants? Apparently, some 4-year-old little boy or 4th grade little boy was running around the playground area Monday and cut up her pants and her sock and her jacket. And I'm like, what do you mean some little boy cut up your stuff? Well, then apparently it started a fight where Maggie decided to attack this boy. First, she bit him. Then she kicked him in the balls, chopped him in the throat, and then stabbed him in the eyes. Because my daughters have been taught that if somebody is harassing you, bothering you, messing with you, and you want them to leave you alone, grown, balls, throat chop, eye poke. You Three Stooge them. I don't care. Do what you got to do to get away. Scream. My kids all have a very high pitched scream. So I was like, scream while you're attacking them, and then run away as fast as you can. Well, Maggie was trying to get away from this little boy, and my thing is, I'm like, where were the people that watched the kids at recess? Because how was this little boy, 1, running around the yard with scissors, and 2, going around cutting kids' clothes, okay? And so I was just like, that's not right. Like, y'all need to do something about this, because I really don't want my kids, I don't want my kids being attacked with scissors on the playground when they're supposed to be playing and whatever. And so I had to email her teacher and then go up because they were trying to say that they wanted like her to do like 2 days home because of the incident. I'm like, oh, hell no. You will not suspend my child because she defended herself. What you need to be doing is being on the phone with the parents of the kids with the scissors, asking them what's wrong with little Johnny and why little Johnny about to get his butt whooped. Because, no, his parents should be paying for my daughter's clothes. I just bought those socks and those pants. I was so mad. But the kids had a good day. They were excited to have mommy home. And then one of the biggest things I hate, okay, about being an adult is when it's time for dinner and everybody looks at me and goes, what's for dinner? I don't know. What do y'all want for dinner? In my household, I don't know about anybody else's household. In my household, dinner is the arch nemesis of everyone. I'm not super picky about what to eat for dinner. But the kids and Mr. Coffee are. So usually they're the ones fighting over who's going to eat what and what not. Speaking of Mr. Coffee, there he is. He's usually the one that they're usually the ones that are super picky about that. I'm not super picky at all. And so I was like, I want some. I'm hungry, but like my stomach growled, and that's the first time my stomach had growled since I had COVID. So I'm like, my appetite is back. So I'm like, I want something filling, but not, I don't know. Like I want something simple, but filling. And we decided on oatmeal. Now, over there in the comments, I want you guys to write, do you make your oatmeal with water or milk? Say it's maple brown sugar oatmeal or peaches and cream oatmeal or apples and cinnamon oatmeal. What do you make your oatmeal with? Because the psychopath that I call my husband makes it with water. And I'm like, that's disgusting. Like, it's not even creamy that way. Like, I like my oatmeal to be creamy. Mr. Coffee chooses violence every day. And I'm just like, why don't you just put a bag of nails in there with it? Like, water? Like, seriously? And so he was just like, well, what do you use? Milk. So I sat there and I made me and the kids oatmeal. And Mr. Coffee's like, well, Maggie's not going to eat it because Maggie doesn't eat oatmeal. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Maggie doesn't eat oatmeal. Now, oatmeal is one of the things Maggie will eat. So I had no clue what he was talking about. My arm, literally, like, why is it so much bigger? Y'all see that? Okay, I will stop with the arm thing. But he's like, yeah, when I made her oatmeal last time, she wouldn't eat it. That's because you made it. I don't know what to tell you about that. But Maggie likes oatmeal. So he was just like, oh, okay. I'm learning, too. From my stroke, I have, like, a dead eye. Like, it's like... It's not looking... Are you looking forward? Like, look at it! That's weird. Okay, there we... Okay, I'm sorry. I've never had to look at myself for this long, okay? Anyways, so I make me and the kids oatmeal. He makes his oatmeal with water. And I'm like, okay. Sorry, my brain just had a brain fart. So I was like, all right. I give the kids their oatmeal. I sit down and have my oatmeal. It was really hard for me to sit at the table, so I had to essentially lean back on my chair at the table and then pick my bowl up and eat it that way. And Maggie goes and she eats hers, and she's like, Mommy, can I have some more? And I'm like, yeah, honey. So I give her some more. And Mr. Coffee's like, how in the hell did you get her to eat that? He's like, I've made her oatmeal before, and she wouldn't eat it. And she goes, I didn't like your oatmeal, Daddy. Again, kids give 0 Fs about your feelings, okay? Just remember that. So I was just like, yeah, that's probably because you made it with water. And she's never had oatmeal made with water before, because anytime I've made my kids oatmeal, I make it with milk. And he's just like, well, I don't know how to make it with milk. Sorry, you guys. And I was just like, how do you make it with milk? You make it the same way, numbskull. You just put milk in it instead of water. Like, that's gross. You put it in the microwave for like 3 minutes and boom, perfect oatmeal. And he was just like, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, this coming from the same guy that still reads the directions on the mac and cheese box. I love my husband. I really do. He gets on my nerves. But I love him. Anyways. So, yeah. So, that was Monday. Tuesday was... Every day the pain has gotten progressively better, which I'm thankful for, because I can move around a little bit better every day. There's some days where it's still kind of rough, and then there's other days where the certain things are rough. Coughing, sneezing, laughing hurts, stuff like that still hurts really bad. But for the most part, I can get up by myself. I can go to the bathroom by myself. I've gone to the bathroom numerous times by myself. The doctors have been checking in like they did a little bit ago. They check in to make sure that that I'm going to the bathroom okay, that I'm not having issues. They told me to get, like, stool softener and stuff like that. And then they are telling me that, I need to watch my diet now from now on, because I can only have certain foods. I really want to get a tattoo right here now. Like, I need to, maybe that's what I'll do for Mr. Coffee's anniversary. Maybe I'll update all his tattoo stuff, and then, like, finally you guys can watch me get my tattoo, because I want to get a tattoo right here. I don't know what to get, though. Like, I want something scary, so, like, when I go to yawn or something, I'm just like, oh, it'd be like a scary face or something. Like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Anyways. So yeah, so the week has gotten progressively better. I can walk the dogs by myself. I've been walking the dogs by myself since Wednesday. The dogs are pretty much well behaved, and they can tell something's up. Like, the day that I came in from the hospital, Daisy and Killian sniffed me. Daisy kind of, like, shook her head and looked up at me, and then she could immediately tell something was wrong. So Daisy has been, like, keeping close to me, which right now, hold on, see if I can, there are the doggies. Don't mind the Petco box. So there are the doggies sleeping. But yeah, so the dogs have been essentially super close. If I get up from this chair, they're like right there. When I go to walk them, we put their pinch collars back on. No, I do not want to hear your opinion on pinch collars. Do what you need to do for your dog. I know what works best for my dog, and with my dogs being as big and strong as they are, pinch collars work for me, okay? So I put their pinch collars back on because then that way they can't pull me and I won't potentially fall. I was still a little uneasy on my feet for most of the week. Today I feel a little bit more stable on my feet than I have for the last couple of weeks. Or last couple of weeks, for the last couple of days. But I'm still having, right now, the wounds look like they're healing up nicely. The swelling has gone down almost all gone. I've lost probably a good 15 pounds since the surgery. And that's just water weight. And because for some reason I retain water really bad sometimes. So it's like water weight and all the stuff that they had to go in and fix and do and everything that they did. I lost like a good 15 pounds. And I haven't been eating a bunch of fatty foods. I haven't been drinking a bunch of soda. I've been watching what I eat. And like the last week has been like the healthiest week for me that I've ever had. I don't know when I will get back to making videos. I'm really hoping next week sometime. Like next week will be another video light week where there might be 1 or 2 videos. And that's it. But after next week, I should be perfectly fine, good to go. Back into doing whipping chats, back into doing like what I need to get done. There's the Uncrafty Crafter. Hi, the Uncrafty Crafter. I was in her live last night. I don't get to go to many lives anymore because life has just gotten so busy. And there's constantly lives going on that I just can't possibly make them all. But when I do get a chance, I will stop in. And every once in a while, I'll get to stop into Jenny's live and say hi to her. And I got to stop in yesterday. That's my little cornbread dealer. Which I've been dying to say this because I saw her in Jenny's live. What up, Bree? What up, Shay? What's up, Crafting with Shay? I know you're in here. But yeah, like I just want to take this time to say thank you to you guys for all your well wishes, all your prayers, all the messages and comments, and the people that are sent. Like Dana was sending me funny videos, and I think Lynette sends me these funny frog videos all the time. But thank you guys so much for just being here for me and being so understanding of the fact that this isn't something that was planned. This wasn't something that I knew was going to be happening or whatever. It just was a freak accident. And I know you guys are like, everybody keeps telling me to take it easy. Don't move too fast. Don't let your body heal. We'll be here. And I'm like, I appreciate the fact that you guys are going to be here whenever I get back. I do plan on slowly coming back. I won't come back full force at least for the next couple of weeks. But I will be doing at least 2 to 3 videos a week. Even if it's a face-to-face whip and chat like this, where I'm just sitting on the couch here. There's Rachel. It's about the time that everybody messages me, because this is around the time that I've been waking up from my naps every day. I've been making sure to take naps every day. I can drive, so I can go get the kids today. I'm able to shower by myself now, and I don't need Mr. Coffee's help getting in and out of the shower. But yeah, thank you guys for everything. Thank you to Rachel and Becky for being here. I got really upset Tuesday night because okay, so let's talk about this hernia thing real quick before I have to let you guys go, because this is, like I said, this is going to take place instead of my live. But I was really upset because there were so many years that I didn't like the way I looked. And it's taken me many years to get to a spot where I'm comfortable with how I look and like the way I look. And my belly button was one of those things that made me unique, because it was a unique looking belly button. And when they did the surgery, when they said that they were repairing that hernia, I didn't realize that meant that they were taking, and essentially what they did was the belly button was sticking out like this. When they did the surgery, they pushed it in. So now my belly button looks nothing like what it's looked like for all of the 37 years that I've been on this planet. So I was really upset about that, because I didn't want them to alter how it looked. I just wanted them to fix the muscle, but apparently that was how they fixed the muscle. And the lady was asking me, you know, how long have you had this? And I'm like, that belly button has looked like that my entire life. I thought it was supposed to look like that. And when I asked my dad, he goes, we got your hernia fixed. He goes, we weren't aware. I think he said he wasn't aware that it was supposed to be fixed again. And I was just like, I thought that that's just how my belly button was supposed to look, but apparently not. And so I got really upset about it. I got really emotional about it. And I messaged Becky about it, and she like calmed me down about it. But I was showing Rachel one of the wounds because it's literally like a little line. That's it. It's just like this little line. It looks like I got like a little paper cut or something, and then they put glue on it. That's what my wounds look like, except for my belly button, which looks like they just took it and went, kind of looks like a butthole right now, and I don't like it. And that's the reason why I was freaking out, because I didn't like the fact that they made it look like a butthole. And sorry, I'm trying not to laugh because that hurts. But yeah, so it's been a crazy, crazy week. The kids were kind of bad for Mr. Coffee, and I'm like, in a way, they're not used to being here with Mr. Coffee, but that doesn't give them the excuse to misbehave. So I had to have a sit down with all of them, because also when I came back, my house was destroyed. Like, there was just shit everywhere. Like, the floor hadn't been vacuumed. The kitchen hadn't been cleaned. Mr. Coffee was just sitting here in his feelings the entire time I was gone. And I was like, well, I'm going to need you to man up and get that vacuum out and start vacuuming, because no, y'all ain't leaving my house like this. Like, this is what we not bouts to do, is leave my house a hot mess. That's what we're not bouts to do. So yeah, so it was a pretty good week for the most part, minus the whole surgery thing. I'm getting better every day. I feel like I'm about 50% today. Like, I feel a little bit better today than I have all week. I'm a little bit more stable on my feet, and I feel like I can do a little bit more. I'm not going to. Like I said, I will slowly come back with videos. Like, next week, you guys will probably get 2 or 3 videos, depending on what comes in. Now, I have a whole stack of what you got Wednesday. I will not be able to open that next week. I'm shooting for the week after next, depending on how I feel. If my belly button stops hurting, I will go back into making videos regularly. Because, like, again, I want to thank those folks that have been going back and binge watching my channel while I've been down, because financially that is going to help so much. I also got in my cups from Lots of Style. I got in my glow in the dark cups, so I can't make those right now because I can't, like, walking for long periods of time after about 10 minutes starts to hurt. So, and I don't want to sit down, because that pressure of sitting down and then standing back up and then walking back and forth hurts as well. So I'm going to take the rest of the weekend and relax. I'm probably going to be sitting right here on this couch. I will probably see you if you go to Jeremy's live, or if Ruby Q does decide to go live, which I don't think she will, but if she does, I will see you there. Or in Cal's live on Sunday. I'm going to try to make Cal's live, but I'm trying to get my house back in order, and it's hard trying to navigate things from the couch. But we're working on it, and everybody's doing well. The kids seem to be doing a lot better. Like, I had to, like, go drill sergeant on them to get them to clean their rooms, and for Mr. Coffee to clean the house. And I'm like, you don't want me to hurt myself. I would advise you to clean this house like it needs to be cleaned. So I had to walk him through cleaning up everything. But he got it all done, so I was happy about that. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of... Some of these videos you may have already seen on Instagram or my Facebook page, but for those folks that don't have social media, I'm going to insert some video of the pets, mostly the ferrets, because I know a lot of people have been asking to see the ferrets. I'll insert some pictures of, like, the dogs at the dog park later when I go to walk them, and some videos of the ferrets. Again, you might have seen these videos over on my Instagram or whatnot. But I'm going to insert those videos at the end of this, just so I get time to say goodbye to you guys in chat. But thank you guys all so much for coming and listening to me jibba jabba. I really do appreciate it. Again, I'm taking it easy. I will be slowly coming back as I start to feel better. But like I said, I'm not rushing it. Don't worry. I'm not sitting here lifting dumbbells or trying to work out or anything. I'm just sitting here chilling on the couch. So I, again, would like to thank everybody that's been binge watching my channel, people that have been just amazing and understanding of the fact that I had no control over this. So again, thank you to everyone so much for your understanding. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this premiere. I think this is how things are going to go for a little bit until I'm able to actually sit up and diamond paint again. I tried yesterday and it was too painful trying to sit and like lean over my table to diamond paint or whatever. So I'm going to just take a couple more days off, and hopefully by next week, Friday, we can have a normal live. But I hope this was okay for today. So again, thank you guys so very much for watching. Questions, comments, or concerns, please leave those down in the comment section below. You know how we do. If you're new to the channel and would like to see more random crazy videos just like this, please feel free to hit that subscribe button and the bell right down there. Cost you $0 to help your girl out. Let's see if we can get Miss Coffee to 33K before the end of the year. That's my goal for myself, is to get me to 33K before the end of the year. So tell your friends, share with everybody you know, let them know Miss Coffee loves all the peoples. So with that said, I must now bid you adieu. But not before reminding you that it's hard out here in these crafty streets, so please be safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, don't touch your face out in public, keep your 6 feet, and always try. Be kind, be courteous, be cool. Bye, guys.